What is good, everybody out there? Thanks again for checking in with Court Thoughts, the channel where we basically talk basketball. If you've been following along with your boy, you've been hearing me talk a lot about my love and appreciation for the European style of basketball. Now, I wanted to do a reaction on a player actively playing within the Euroleague, but was a good sort of blend of the American style of play and the European style of play. And I think I've got that player. On today's video, we are going to be reacting and breaking down the fantastic player that is Mike James. Now, for those of you that are unaware, Mike James has actually had some stints within the Euroleague as well as within the NBA, and he's gotten a lot of attention from social media outlets for his little stints in performance. But let's not talk too much about this man. Let's get into the reaction so you can actually see what this man's game is all about. Now, the video that we are going to be reacting to is from a new channel to us, and the channel is called Caden Prod. I'll leave the link in the description if you want to go ahead and check it out for yourself. It's actually a highlight of Mike James's 29-point game. Just a scoring display against the Parisian basketball team. So look, we're going to go ahead, get into this, and look, make sure you stick around to the end of the video because I am going to provide a detailed analysis on all the finer details that I see. All right, let's get into it. Okay guys, let's check out Caden Prod's video. Let's do it.
Ouais, Monaco qui attaque très bien mais qui défend aussi très bien. Deuxième meilleure défense de la ligue. Et là, Lloyd qui a fait une super défense.
Good read. Good read. That little delay in the dribble was fantastic to get him to the elbow. Oh, good pass. Fantastic pass. Ooh, getting up there. Great outlet pass. The ball always moves faster than the player. Calling for the high screen. Good defensive adjustment, but it just opened up for that sidestep. I really like that. Clearly undersized, but getting into that really active zone in the key. Pushing the ball up. Drifting into space. He's kind of sitting in that back corner there, but you see what I mean when I'm saying that? When I'm talking about that blend of the American style, where he's unafraid to sort of call for those high screens and play off of it. Reverse screen, you don't really see that all that often. Yee! Active rebounder. Simple finish, love it. Put on the Jets. Pinching that pass, love it. Big boy moves right there, bro. Ooh. Oh. Jeez. He's an effective shooter. Oh. Called that defense napping, bro. Run out, run out, run out. Good work. There you go. Hey, fantastic video. Thank you so much, Caden Prod. Okay guys, it's time for the detailed breakdown. Let's get into it. Now the first thing that I'm going to talk about is outlet passing. So firstly, what is outlet passing? Outlet passing is basically where you're in a transition getting up the court and you're basically pushing the ball up. So instead of you trying to dribble the ball up, you're pushing the ball out. Depending on your team's actions that they want to play through, the basic principles that you have is that if you do not have the ball, okay, you have not rebounded the ball and you're looking to try and get up the court, you're trying to fill into lanes. When we're talking about lanes, we've basically got three main lanes that we're looking to try and fill in through. You've got the dead center and then you've got the two sidelines. The outlet pass is basically using that principle by having your guys flank the sides, so your teammates are running up the sides and you basically push the ball up. And what that does is allows the ball to transition down the court. I actually said in the reaction that the ball moves faster than the player, and that's because, really simply, if I was to get two people, one person to go in a full-on sprint, another person to pass the ball from one end of the court to the other, the ball's always going to move faster. So in the same way where I emphasize things about positioning, ball movement and maximizing on that opportunity by getting the ball up the court is a fantastic way in doing that. Now, one little critical detail that I'd like to point out when it comes to outlet passing, for those of you that are not familiar, specifically when you are looking for an outlet, you as the rebounder want to grab the ball and you want to basically look to that halfway point, and you want to look to that sort of angle onto those sides. And the reason why you do that is you're basically looking at your options straight away to get rid of the ball. Now, the next thing that I'm going to talk about is reading the screens, and this for me is probably one of the really good aspects in being able to show the blending in the style of play between European basketball and American style of basketball. Now, Mike James isn't actually that big. He's 6'1" and he's actually quite slender. So maximizing off of those high pick and roll screens is a often utilized function that you see within the NBA style of play. Within European basketball, you generally see the ball shift around a lot more, and there's a lot more movement around the court. And this is just purely because of the fact that European basketball is played on a smaller court, and it's actually a shorter court. You've got less time, so it's a lot more of a crisper, concise movement that has to take place as opposed to the NBA, where it's a lot longer, and there's definitely aspects of athleticism that is promoted within that. Having that high pick and roll, what that does is that allows Mike to actually read, and you could see that he was doing some fantastic adjustments and reads there by, number one, a good screen was set. He wasn't rushing the screen. That's generally where you set your own teammate up for failure by the screen's not set properly. You then try to run your man into that screen, and because it's not set, you're going to get called for an illegal screen, and that's generally going to be a poor decision on your part. Yes, that teammate's not set for the screen, but you got to pick your time. You got to set your time right. So if you're rushing, nothing ever good comes from that. But one of the things that I liked about it was that he was able to read from that reaction. One of the clips that we saw, you could see the defender was able to get into a recovery point. Basically, instead of going forward, he then went sidestep and then just created this extra amount of space to create his shot. Very, very effective. Using the screen in the right way and really just using your teammate in the right way is one of those really simple things that once you start to put it into your game, it's going to make it tremendously better. Tremendously better, tremendously more effective. Shout out to the screener as well. I'm not too familiar with which player that was, but he actually pulled off a reverse screen. You don't really see that all that much, and that's basically where you have your back to the screen. It's normally not something that is set very often, and it's just because you can't see things, but sometimes what they'll do is they'll actually sit like this, and then the player goes over, and then when he turns and runs, you can sort of see the ball the whole time. So that's a little bit on the reverse screen there. Now, the last thing I'm going to talk about, to me, was so important, and that is rebounding. This man was actively going for boards. I have said this so many times that possession is literally the most important part of the game of basketball. Getting as many possessions as possible. How do you get possessions? By doing the 1%ers, by grabbing boards. If I grab the board, whether I'm a little guy or I'm a big guy, I need to be actively trying to get the board. Being a guard, it works to his favor in grabbing the board because then he's the person that needs to get the ball back. So if a big gets the board, he as a guard is going to go get the ball and then have to transition back up. So being an active rebounder for his benefit and his team's benefit was massive because he can grab the board and then just immediately start the transition up the court. That was a really effective part on his end of the game in being able to get the ball as many times as he did. Now that sort of stuff allows him to get easy transition buckets. You don't get 29 points without doing all the little gritty, dirty details. In my recent video I did on Donovan Mitchell's 71-point game, first and foremost, if you haven't seen that, go ahead and check it out because I get into the weeds about all the details and numbers about how he was able to get that phenomenal performance. But I talk a lot about effectiveness, and doing these little things ends up adding into big things, whether it's easy, fast break transition buckets, whether it's free throws, whether it's passing the ball and creating opportunities, not just for you, but for your teammates. Everything feeds back into itself. So just because you're the guard does not mean that you should not be rebounding. You need to actively rebound. You want to see someone who did this hyper effectively? Go ahead and check out Russell Westbrook when he was on his triple-double record-setting spree, because you'd actually notice a lot of his triple-doubles were coming from 10-point scoring, 10 assists, and minimum 10-point boards. And just those things alone, by being active, boom, goes up, grabs the board, comes back down, gets rid of the ball. Now, that's an assist right there, and that's a board. Let's say he goes back up again, grabs the board, comes down. Instead of going for that pass, he now scores. Now he's got 2 boards, 1 assist, and 1 score. So what that does is just helps your stat sheet, helps you be an effective teammate, and helps you to create opportunities for others around yourself. I know that for me, looking at the game in the way that I do, in a very analytical mindset, you might look at these things and go, yeah, of course, everyone should be rebounding, but a lot of people don't. I know that I've fallen victim to it as well, where I slack off on the boards because I'm looking to run up and get out. But doing these things is going to get you onto the court. If you want to get onto the court, you've got to do all these little nitty-gritty details. One of the guys that I actually have on my team, who's been on my team for a couple of years now, this guy is an absolute hustler. He goes out, grabs the boards, and he gets his scoring opportunities, and he's a fantastic teammate to play with because of that fact that he's hyper effective in securing boards and very tenacious in grabbing the boards. People want to play with guys like that, because even if you're not an effective scoring threat, just by being an effective teammate and getting the boards, man, you're an asset to the team. So go out there, be an asset by grabbing the boards. If you want to be an asset, there's an effective way that you can do that also, and that's by liking and subscribing to my channel, Court Thoughts. I am currently pushing to hit my new milestone of 10k subs, and I can absolutely do with all the love and support that you guys can give me. It's absolutely free, doesn't cost anything in doing this, but it means the world to me and helps me get that growth that I'm looking to try and get to. Additionally, if you're looking to try and get involved and you would like me to react to either maybe some highlights that you have or a particular player that you'd like to see, jump in the comments and let me know. Or you can also go ahead and check out my Facebook page. You can drop me a line in DM, or you can even just comment on the upload that I put up for the video and let me know what you think about it. Give me some feedback, recommend the next player that I need to go ahead and check out. I will do it. I will do it. Don't test me. I will react to the players that you recommend. But look, guys, that's going to do it for today's video. I had a lot of fun breaking this guy's game down, and I hope you enjoyed it as well. And until I see you next time, make sure you're looking after yourself, and take care, be safe. All right, peace.